Jai Xuanyu's father reached the place where the man was, placed his hand on his chest, began to walk toward him and introduced himself as the head of the Jai family. Jai Hongyan, explaining that he had come with his apprentices, asking him to please open the door. The man who was holding the staff began pointing at the entrance with the weapon, giving them permission to enter. Jiang and the others started walking toward the entrance, and he began observing them with a serene expression. The Jai family was very powerful, and even so they needed to be cautious when it came to Jai's divine treasure, which showed that it was not something ordinary. First, he decided to familiarize himself with this place and then investigate using Jai Xuanyu. The man used his power, causing a portal to begin opening in the giant coffin. He struck the staff forcefully on the ground, making a powerful red energy start emerging from the ground. The father, who had his arms behind his back, remained silent, while on the other side Zhang began observing the energy and couldn't help but go into shock. A strange smell appeared in the air. The father turned around, extended his hand towards them, explaining that the recent power came from the 20% undiscovered of the divine soul of the ancient gops in the sea of consciousness. The attention of Zhang and the others was fixed on the father, and they remained silently listening. Everyone took a small flag, and while Zhang was inspecting it, Jai Xuanyu approached him and crossed her arms. The father began to walk towards them, extended his hands to the sides, explaining that it was very likely there would be a mutation in that area, asking them under no circumstances to attempt entering it, and just in case decided to give them a teleportation flag so that in case of danger they could teleport back. Jiang started touching his head, closed his eyes, and with a smile thanked the father. Jai Xuanyu turned her back to them, began saying goodbye to her father using her hand, and asked him to return home. She was eager to go in, so she asked the others to follow her and stay close since she was going to guide them. A while later, they entered the corpse, and Jai Xuanyu was the leader of the group. Along the way, she explained that this was the calf region of the ancient god's corpse. The passage they were now in was its meridian. She had been here many times before, and there was almost no danger. They only needed to be careful with blood beasts, because even if they killed them not only would gain many experience points, but also strengthen their bodies. While everyone was walking, Jiang's attention was fixed on the sky, his eyes filled with amazement as it had a height of dozens of meters and a width of dozens of meters, wondering if this area was really just the meridian of the corpse. His mind was filled with many questions, not knowing how large the corpse of the ancient god was. Zhazhai appeared on our boy's shoulder. He began to observe him with a serene look and couldn't help but start smiling. Zhazhai was somewhat surprised to see that his father had brought him so he could devour the magnificent corpse of the ancient god. He was impressed because his father was the best, thinking that he had learned to flatter only for something to eat. While Zhang and the others were exploring the area, with a smile our boy gave his son permission to devour everything he could but advised him to be careful not to be discovered. Zhazhai transformed into a beetle and began moving away from them. At that moment, a six-eyed blood beast appeared and began panting heavily. A horde of beasts appeared in front of them, while some beasts stood in front to prevent them from escaping. Others jumped and prepared to attack. Seeing this, Xuanyu panicked, drew her bow, turned around, and with a worried gaze asked everyone to be careful. The status window of the beasts appeared. They were level 35 and had several abilities: Illusory Blood Mist, Blood Explosion, and Blood Arrow. Hua Yunfei filled himself with enthusiasm, began to use his power, making fire appear in the palm of his hand, and with a confident smile, he started running towards the beasts with the intention of finishing them all. Instead of panicking, our boy remained calm and his gaze was filled with confusion. The blood beasts in the area were not bad food, but Zhazhai had flown directly to another place, not knowing if he wasn't interested in eating them. Hua Yunfei used his power, causing a powerful burst of energy to shoot out from his hand and strike against the beasts, making them start roaring in agony. Not long after, the beasts struck by his attack lost their lives, falling to the ground. Hua Yunfei clenched his fist and somewhat confidently mocked our boy, asking if he could instantly kill more than 10 blood beasts. Xuanyu, who had her hand on her hip, began silently observing the beasts. Our boy did not fall into temptation. He gave a thumbs up saying that Wine Fei was impressive. He had finally seen a proud guy with mental retardation. Jaxuan stood with her arms crossed and her gaze fixed on Hua Yunfei. She was somewhat annoyed by his behavior, so she asked him not to boast about something so insignificant. He placed his hand over his chest, closed his eyes, and bowed his head before her, deciding to follow the goddess's orders. Our boy began to show a forced smile, realizing that this guy was also a bootlicker. With a serious expression, she decided to lead the group to the heart section of the ancient god's corpse, explaining that there were more blood beasts there, and it was also more suitable for training. She revealed that the ancient god's corpse had a structure different from the human body, having 3 hearts. But at that moment, Joyuji began to communicate with our boy, asking him not to pay attention to her nonsense, since the ancient god of Ji-Lai actually had 4 hearts, and as long as one remained intact it could revive. Jiang went into shock and his eyes filled with alertness, asking if he was saying that the ancient god was alive. And then Joyuji revealed that he had found the hidden 4th heart, which had not yet been destroyed. Zhao Yuji, who was in beetle form, reached the 4th heart of the corpse and started flying toward it. Seeing this, Jiang panicked and asked him to come back immediately. But he refused, asking him to wait a moment since he was thinking of some way to eat this heart. In a desperate attempt to stop his son, Jiang promised to take him to eat something more delicious, since the heart of the ancient god should not be delicious. Jiang's eyes filled with fear and rage, realizing that this was not good. He approached one of the men, placed his hand on his shoulder, and with a serious expression, asked them not to proceed as there was danger, leaving the man somewhat confused. Yanfei, somewhat confused, turned around asking what he was saying. Our boy asked everyone to use the teleportation flag to get out of here as soon as possible. Upon hearing this, Ji Sun-Yu's gaze filled with surprise. She remained silent and the conceited Yanfei approached Jiang and, with a smile, mocked him by asking if he was talking about the blood beasts from a moment ago. He decided to take this opportunity to call him a coward. Jiang began staring at him intently and stayed silent, and upon seeing this, Yanfei demanded that he respond. Our boy's eyes filled with fury, realizing that this guy was a fool, and deciding it was better to sacrifice him. Without hesitating for even a second, he delivered a strong punch to his face, sending his body flying and leaving everyone else in shock. He knew that if he hit Yanfei, the others would have no choice but to agree on going out first to seek medical attention. Yanfei's body flew out until it forcefully hit the ground several meters back. Ji Sun-Yu, somewhat furious, turned around and her attention fixed on Jiang, asking what he was doing and why he had hit Yanfei. Our boy replied that nothing in particular, he just felt hatred toward him and wanted to fight. She turned around and saw that Yanfei, who now had a bruise on his cheek, sat down, placed his hand on the ground, got angry and revealed that he also felt hatred toward Jiang, and upon seeing that he had dared to strike him, believed that he was seeking death. Yanfei stood up and released the heroic spirit, causing a powerful giant knight made of blue energy to emerge from his body. Despite the fact that the knight was terrifying, Jiang remained firm, began to observe it and mocked Yanfei by saying that it was just an exaggeration and not so powerful. Zhazhai returned and entered Jiang's body. He opened his palm and with a joyful look, fixed his attention on Yanfei and a smile appeared on his face since Zhazhai had returned at the right moment. He extended his hands and his body began to release the energy of Zhazhai. Yanfei, thirsty for revenge, decided to attack, making the knight prepare to attack using its claw. Jiang's eyes began to shine and his hands started to emit a powerful energy. This was the perfect moment to test the power of the divine body of the guardian elephant. Just before the knight's attack could reach Jiang, he counterattacked and his strike was so powerful that the spirit of the knight disintegrated into pieces. Jaxuan Yu and the others couldn't help but be left speechless, their eyes filled with surprise. Upon seeing that with a simple move Jiang had defeated the knight's spirit, Yanfei was shocked, his eyes full of fear. He didn't know how this was. While he was distracted, Jiang leaped, appeared above him and prepared to attack. Just before he had time to react, Jiang delivered a strong punch, causing his body to crash forcefully against the wall. In a matter of seconds, he lost consciousness. Jacques Xuanyu approached Zhang and, somewhat furious, asked why he had done this. The others were shocked to see that he had defeated Wei Unfei with a single blow without using his sword or the help of the 9 miasma wings. Zhang closed his eyes and began to show a confident smile, explaining that Wei Unfei's injuries were not serious. However, if not treated soon, there would be lasting effects on his body, and in this way, he would not be able to compete in the genius competition that was going to take place in a couple of days. Jacques Xuanyu began to suspect something, and her gaze fixed on our boy. With a surprised expression, she asked if he had injured Wei Unfei out of fear so as to escape. Zhang turned his back on them, closed his eyes, revealing that if they wasted more time, that guy was going to die. The others began to feel fear and took out the teleportation flags, knowing they were not going to be able to fight against him. One of them said he couldn't use the flag, and upon hearing this, Zhang's eyes filled with fear and surprise. He turned around, and some members of the group tried to use the flag but were unable. Zhang's attention fixed on them, and with a serious expression he realized that when Joxy discovered the heart, the corpse also sensed Joxy's presence and immediately made arrangements. He put his hand over his face, and his gaze filled with fear, as his master had said that the power of a true god was level 9. He knew that the enemy they were going to face was level 10 or higher, and if this was the case, they were doomed to die. He decided to calm himself and took out the teleportation flag, realizing that the god was sealing the power of the flags and not directly eliminating it, which meant that it itself was subject to some restriction and unable to act. With a determined gaze, he began to fly alongside Joxy, asking him to guide him to the 4th heart. Deciding that it was time to destroy the heart, he must treat the god as if it were alive and had to kill it before it came back to life. Zhang started moving away from them at great speed, and upon seeing this, Jacques Xuanyu realized that he had noticed something was wrong all this time, and that's why he wanted them to leave here as soon as possible. One of the men carried Yu Yunfei's body on his back, and they began following Zhang since something bad could happen. Zhang approached the 4th heart, but at that moment he was forced to stop as more blood beasts appeared, which prepared to attack. Jacques Xuanyu and the others also reached him, and a horde of blood beasts with a level between 70 and 120 appeared. Now they were surrounded by the beasts, and their level had also doubled compared to before. The others went on alert, realizing that they were finished since there were blood beasts of level 120, even some of 150. Zhang extended his hand towards the beasts, giving the order to Little Knight and the insects to attack the beasts in front. Little Knight appeared and got happy upon seeing so much food. Our boy gave Jacques Xuanyu the order to lead the others to hold back the beasts behind. Zhang, confident, grabbed one of the veins, clenched his fist, and with a determined look, decided to open a hole in the vein to enter and solve the problem. Jacques Xuanyu unsheathed the bow, turned around, and with a surprised expression, revealed that it was impossible since the veins of the ancient god could not be broken. But Zhang asked them to hold their position and wait for him to return, as only then would they be able to leave this place alive. This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part,